Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Kaustic Plastik 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are going to be taking a look at none other than the Duke himself, John Wayne in 1/6 scale. Now this guy does come in 3 different versions. We'll be taking a look at the exclusive edition with the web exclusive magnetic base. Now I do have to say a massive thank you to the team over at Kaustic Plastik for sending me this review sample. Just because it's a sample though, doesn't mean I'm going to go easy. I'm going to review this figure just as I would review any other. Now if you are looking to grab this, I'm pretty sure he is still available in limited quantities at the Infinite Statue website. I will put the link for that down in the description below. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art, and it's suitably classy. John Wayne up top, an image of him on the front of the box done in this soft oil painting aesthetic, and then a signature down below. An image of the figure himself on the side of the box, and on the back the list of the cast and crew responsible for bringing this guy to life, plus an image of the US flag overlaid on some wood paneling. Now you can see mine isn't numbered, yours definitely will be, but because this is a review sample, they didn't put a number on it. Now they did send through a couple of alternate slipcovers. If you are getting the deluxe edition, your box will look exactly like this. If you are getting the exclusive, it'll be the same as mine, and if you are getting the standard, it'll just have that wood paneling plus the signature down below. Either way, the box art is very classy. Now, as for John Wayne himself, I've been pretty darn excited to get this guy in. I saw Dean Knight's review, which by the way, was fantastic, and I do own their Peter Sellers figure. This guy, I'm hoping, is going to be equally as good as he was. First, in-hand impressions though are pretty darn positive. I'm already feeling some die-cast metal pieces. We do though have one more thing to unbox. And that's of course the Diorama Luxury magnetic stand, which is the exclusive. John Wayne on the front, down below on the side, and then the signature on the back of the box. Now I haven't decided as of yet which display base I'm going to go with in my display, but I guess we'll find out throughout the course of the video. Now as you can see, it does come in multiple parts, so we will be assembling it. But first, in-hand impressions of the base. This thing feels extremely sturdy, and I'm very curious to see how the magnets come into play. What we are going to do now though is get all of the accessories that come both with the base and with John Wayne laid out in the light box, and take a closer look at everything they come with. Here we have all the parts and pieces. Now starting off with the standard display base first, this is the one that comes in the box. Now it's pretty straightforward, it's a circle, you've got some wooden flooring printed on the top. It's not actually 3D, it's just a 2D image, but it looks good enough for me. You've got John Wayne in kind of like a belt buckle on the front of the base, a very classy touch. It's a nice metallic gold with some pitting on the surface. Now you may be thinking, okay, well how on earth do you attach John Wayne to the base? Very simply with magnets. They are super sturdy, as you can see, he's literally holding up the base, and thankfully his ankle joints are also very sturdy, so no need for a crotch grabber on this base. Now the Luxury Edition stand actually does have a crotch grabber, but this one also includes some magnets up the front section, right here. Now, if you remove the crotch grabber because you want to use the magnets, you might be thinking, oh, there's a very unsightly hole up the back there. But no, they've actually thought about that. they've included a little bag that pegs into the hole, so now it's completely covered. That is genius, and I absolutely love it. It's some next level attention to detail. Speaking of detail, this base is stunning. It's a rectangle, it's not super high profile, it's nice and slim. There is a ton of dirt and grime actually sculpted into the surface with rocks and detail, and you also have a little bit of red paint to mimic some burning hot coals. You also have this little section that you can put on top that kind of mimics a hot plate. You can of course add some other accessories to that base, such as this kettle and the cup. Now, in the promo images, they do have the kettle very simply resting on top of the hot plate. I think that's what I'm going to do in my display. I also like the way these are painted. They look like proper worn out rusty metal. Now you also have some dents sculpted into the surface like up the top of the cup. It's not pristine and it's not brand new. You also get a bottle of whiskey that actually has a fully printed label. It says Kentucky Straight Whiskey, and it is dual molded, so you've got some brown down below and it's clear up top. I really like the way this looks. You do also get a satchel. Now this is fully padded and you can undo the straps and remove the padding if you want. You could potentially store a couple of his spare hands in his bag. In the promo images, once again, they show this just resting on the display base. Now, you will see this on him a little bit later in the video, but he also comes with a vest. It does have a US Marshal badge up the top there. I'm not entirely sure if this is made of real leather or pleather. It kind of smells like real leather, but I could be wrong. It does have some weathering and dirt and grime on the surface, and it is a nice thin material. Hopefully it will drape nicely when we pop it on him. Now, John Wayne, of course, comes with some weapons. His Winchester rifle, which is actually made of metal. Now, it doesn't have any moving parts, it's one solid hunk, but I'm perfectly fine with that. It's actual die cast, so it's not just a painted on metallic surface, it's true metal. You also have some dirt and grime painted on top of that, so it looks suitably weathered. Now, something that I really didn't expect to be made of metal was his Colt single-action army revolver. But it is. This is also made of diecast. It has a real moving hammer, and the loading section that can be opened up actually enables you to remove the die-cast bullets. You can spin it, and then you can remove the bullets themselves. Now, they are relatively small, so do be careful not to lose them, but they are also made of metal. This is absolutely stunning. I am so happy that they decided to use metal for the weapons. You also get this mysterious-looking bracelet. I'm pretty sure this is meant to be the bracelet that John Wayne wore in every film after the filming of Red River. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure what that's supposed to be. You also get a full array of hands, and these are probably the most detailed hands that I've seen to date. There is a little bit of speckling, there are veins, you can see some red on the knuckles, and you can see some proper painted in fingernails. That is something that I don't think I have ever seen before, and that's why these are some super highly detailed hands. As I said, some of the best I've ever seen. What we are going to do now though is get John Wayne himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And I am so very happy with how well this guy turned out. Now, I don't own a ton of cowboy figures, so I kind of had no idea what to expect. But Kaustic Plastik, y'all have done it again. This guy checks pretty much every one of my boxes, starting off with the body. Now, Kaustic Plastik has kind of adopted the Apple approach of making everything in-house, including the body, which means the padded fat suit is perfectly tailored to it, so too is the outfit, and then the head sculpt sits perfectly at the correct height, because everything is made in-house by their team. It's the best way to do it, and as you can very clearly see by him simply standing there, it has paid off. What we are going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now in just a second we will be popping on the vest and installing the cigarette into the corner of his mouth. But before we do that, we do have to discuss this head sculpt. It is absolutely incredible. Kaustic Plastik, y'all have outdone yourselves. From pretty much every angle, this is John Wayne. The skin texture, the paint applications, and the expression, it's all on point. The hat and the eye patch are permanently attached to the sculpt, but I'm actually perfectly fine with that. It's a very iconic look for John Wayne, and he looks like an absolute badass. The hat does have some texture sculpted into the surface, and the tassels are a separate piece, although they are fully sculpted. You also have a little bit of texture on the surface of his eye patch. Now, if you pull down the bandana, you can see that they even sculpted the neck all the way down, when you'd never actually see any of that because he does have this bandana around his neck. But if you did want to remove it, you do have a fully sculpted and detailed neck all the way down. Now, Dean mentioned the bandana is a little bit vibrant, and yes, I did look at some reference pics of him in this particular outfit, and it is a touch too saturated. I'm perfectly fine with that though. That just means this guy is going to stand out in the display. Some bright red never hurt. Now he is wearing his kind of tan outer jacket. He does have brown cuffs and a brown section around the top of his collar. You do have real working buttons on the outside, so if you're a more patient collector than I am, you can sit there and do it up. You'll know that I hate real 1/6 scale buttons, so I'm going to leave it unbuttoned. But at the very least, if you do it up, it's not going to add any bulk, it's going to lay nice and flat. It's also a very thin fabric, so it drapes on the body perfectly. Speaking of the body, it is fully padded. He does have a rather portly physique, but that's again accurate to John Wayne. I'm perfectly happy with how this looks. He does have some real pleather suspenders that connect down to his belts, and a blue undershirt. But the shirt has been sun-bleached. That makes perfect sense. John Wayne has been riding around in the Wild West, so the shirt would be a little bit sun-bleached. You can also write that off as dirt and grime, but it just adds a little bit of surface detail to an otherwise very blue and plain shirt. Now he does have multiple belts. This one has a ton of detail on the surface with a wash down in the crevices. Then he's got the gun belt. You do have some bullets around the side that are fully removable and are real metal. You also have his real metal Colt in the holster with this added piece on the outside. I'm not exactly sure what this is supposed to be. If you do know, let me know down in the comments below. Now I do have him wearing the bangle. This bangle, as I said earlier, was seen in Red River, and in the films after that, he continued to wear it, so I have the figure wearing it as well. The brown pants are a little bit baggy and a little bit weathered, I think. You can see some dirt and grime on the surface, which kind of breaks up, again, just like the blue shirt, the overall plain look of the pants. Then coming down to the boots, they are actual pleather boots. Now, fingers crossed these stand the test of time, but they are at least very nicely detailed. You've got this gradient where it starts off black and then blends up to a nice brown, and real metal spurs. These are a very nice touch. They actually spin, and I just can't believe they're actually made of metal. You also have some detail in terms of sculpt and paint on the underside of his boots. But for those wondering what he looks like wearing the vest, now, don't get me wrong, I really like the way he looks out of the box, but for me, this is probably the way I'm going to display him in my collection. I just really like the way this looks. Now, technically, I can pop the jacket back on over the top of the vest, but seeing as the vest is a little bit thick, he might look slightly too bulky. Either way, he is fully customizable. If you want to go without the vest entirely and expose his suspenders, you can do that. It's completely up to you. Now, I also have the cigarette in the corner of his mouth. This was a genius idea by Dean Knight. When the initial promo pics came out, Dean contacted Kaustic Plastik and said, "Hey lads, why don't you make it so that you can insert the cigarette into the corner of his mouth there?" And that's exactly what they did. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late to get his name printed on the box, but we all know that this is courtesy of Dean Knight, and it works very nicely. It's such a simple thing, but it's very effective. Again, just like him wearing the vest, I'm going to have him with the cigarette in his mouth on display. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, I was initially going to go with the Kaustic Plastik Peter Sellers, but then I realized that not everyone actually has that figure. He's a relatively recent release, so I picked something that's a little bit older and that's on a regular true type body. So I ended up with the DX05 Indy. Now, as you can see, John Wayne is significantly taller, but that's accurate. John Wayne was 6'3". He was a tall dude, plus he's wearing his cowboy boots. Now, the body that they've gone with is their own custom body. I have no complaints with the way it looks or the way it moves. It's a very good choice. Overall though, yeah, hopefully this gives you a rough idea as to how John Wayne will fit into your display. Just going over articulation. Now, bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm gonna be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I am willing to go. Now, starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a fixed neck with the ball joint at the bottom, looking forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms will go out to there, they will go forward and back on soft ratchets, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down, swivel at the bicep, a double bend at the elbow that gets you past 90, plus a regular 1/6 scale wrist peg. Now the torso is a little padded, but it still crunches forward and back, swivels and pivots side to side. The legs go forward to there before the padding starts to fight you. They go out to there, swivel at the upper thigh, a double bend at the knee that gets you just past 90, plus a double ball peg down here for the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Kaustic Plastik John Wayne. Now, going into this, I was really excited, don't get me wrong, but I also had no idea what to expect. The only other figure I own from them is their Peter Sellers. He's great, but he's also a completely different style of figure. But I'm pleased to report, Kaustic Plastik, y'all have nailed it. All the way down to the diorama display base. By the way, if you can get that version, absolutely do. The fact that they include magnets and a bag that pegs into the hole where the crotch grabber would go, it's just super classy. The figure himself, though, is also very well done. They're using their own custom body, which means the outfit is tailored perfectly to it, and then the pièce de résistance here, the head sculpt, is outstanding. The skin texture, the likeness, the expression, it ticks all of my boxes. Plus, the real icing on the cake, die-cast weapons. They've used a ton of real metal here, and I am all for it. If you want the most authentic John Wayne in 1/6 scale, then you're looking at him right now. I'm so happy with how this guy turned out. Kaustic Plastik, if you keep up the great work, you're starting to become one of my favorite 1/6 scale companies. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on you. Now, if you are looking to grab this guy, I'm pretty sure he is still available in limited quantities from the Infinite Statue website. I have popped the link in the description down below, and while you are down there, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.